So hello my dear, I'm back and I'm back with a prepared video. It's a try and fly. It is actually the second take of this particular try and fly, and what you may hear in the background is, by the way, the French playing against the Argentines. Yeah, it doesn't look too good for the Argentinian team, but yeah, a couple of minutes left of the game. But I wanted to start recording because otherwise I might run out of time, and who knows when I will find my next opportunity to do this here. So, as I say, this is my second take of this particular try and fly because I had some issues with the Leonardo Maddog MD82. It's basically a very classic FSX aircraft that exists for a long time, and I had it in my old FSX days. And then I kind of forgot about it because there was no prepared, proper prepared version, especially not for prepared version 4. And recently, a couple of weeks, months ago, I saw that they had actually made a release. So I didn't buy it immediately, but then eventually I thought, sort of for the sake of old times, kind of let's have a look at it and see if it still has the magic that I remember when I got it many years ago, the original version. So here it is in Alitalia colors. it's looking really tattered. Yeah, it is quite worn out, yeah, from the textures and stuff. It is quite a nice outer model, quite enjoyable, and yeah, it is sort of a study level aircraft, and it's a long time ago. So in my first round I had some real issues. I think I know now why I had them. It seems that Lua, or the Linda profile that I have for this, somehow seems to mess up things when it comes to autopilot and things like that. So I made some changes to the profile script, to the Lua script, and hopefully that has resolved my issues. I'm also going to use a trick. I'm going to use the load state kind of thing, which if you go to the add-ons menu and you go to the Maddog X here, so you can actually fix failures if you have failures, cold and dark, ready to start, ready to fly, and you can enable the pause at the top of descent. I'm not using this option usually. So at the moment we are in the cold and dark, so I'm going to load this again. We're in the cold and dark state, and so what the first thing we can do is we can go into the cockpit and have a first look at the cockpit. So here it is. Took a moment to load, and yeah, it's a high resolution, fairly high resolution cockpit. You can choose between 4K and 2K textures. I have chosen the 2K textures for the sake of performance. I am on my old box here, so prepared is running on my old rig. That's the one that I have been using for many years now, and in order to kind of keep the performance at an acceptable level, I decided to use the 2K textures. Now, if you see the aircraft like this, there is actually a load manager, so you can start this program. 4-3, so the Argentine team has added another goal, so it's 4-3 now, and we are at the overtime now. Let's see what happens. There are a couple of minutes left. Maybe they managed to get equal. We shall see. Anyway, let's concentrate on the aircraft. So this is actually the setup management and setup program for the prepared version 4 of the Maddog X. There's a load manager, it's a fuel route planner. There are failures and inops, so inoperable items, and there's also a setup here. In the setup, you can decide for some options. I'm not going to go through all this. I'm just going to show you. So there are some general options. One of them is the virtual cockpit resolution. Here you could switch to 4096 if you want. You can actually choose which of the weather radar clients you're going to use. I'm going to set this on Active Sky because I do have Active Sky. Aircraft state for new flight, cold and dark. You can change this. You can have, this is a real light option. There is some special light stuff in the cockpit. I haven't turned this on. This is, by the way, the external floodlights. There's a legacy in the dynamic lights and cockpit floodlights, FS effects. I left it at the default settings at the moment, but I might try them out later and see. There are some crew audio files. In theory, you could actually have more than one. At the moment, we only have the Maddog. That's just one file. Boarding music, you could actually put, I think, some MP3 or something in here, and then you could have some music playing. Nah, I don't really need that. And autopilot disconnects when flight controls are moved manually. I have not, as I say, I haven't changed any of these settings. That's the way they come when you get the aircraft. At least in my case, it was like that. You also have the possibility to change the volumes of practically every sound in the system. That's quite comprehensive. Then you can assign key and button events to particular functions here. I use the Lua-Linda combination, the FSU IPC stuff, so I don't really need this, but it is a possibility. Here's some registration data that I'm not going to show you, and I have actually FS2 crew, but I have not activated. Also, I'm not going to use it in this trial. Oh, game is over. So France has won 4-3. Okay, cool. It was a nice game. That was a nice game. Very good. So now I can concentrate fully. Load manager. So here you can actually set up some loading options. I'm going to take what is in here. I'm going to, I think, vamp up the fuel a tiny wee bit. 3,000. You can, I think you can move it between the center tank and the wing tanks. I'm going to, because 6 tons should be enough for our little try and fly round. You just have to make sure that you keep in the, that these things don't get red, okay? Which would mean that you're outside the allowed area. We have now a zero fuel weight of 48.6. You're going to see this again then later. Then a takeoff weight currently of 54.36, and yep. So you could actually send this, or you could even print this, by the way, print the load sheet and flight plan. This is to help you with your fuel calculation. So it's not really working for me today, so I'm going to use different airports, because otherwise it will have difficulties, although we could try. See, ADLV. And then I would need to say via direct to NEP. Okay, then add direct to SOP2. And from SOP2 we're going to fly direct to REMAT, and that should be sufficient. Yeah, the descent is around REMAT. It calculates the distance. The flight should take about 18 minutes plus, obviously. And this way you can actually prepare. If you have active sky, I'm not sure where it's getting this weather from. Okay, maybe it's a simulator, maybe it's some meta that it's reading from the internet. So if we would use real weather, which we don't, by the way, not in try and flies, I deactivate any kind of real weather. So registration, we don't need all that. Trip, yeah, the trip fuel, it calculated 850. We have a contingency of 2,500 and a final reserve of 1,000. So planned takeoff. So in order to have 6,000, I'm going to add another 2,650. And so the block fuel, oh, hang on, 7,300. Nah. 50. So let's do it like this. Now what I've done is I sent this basically to the aircraft, and it created a load sheet which we can then see inside the aircraft. Okay, and that's it. That's all you can do here in this program. Now we are still in a cold and dark aircraft, and one thing we need to do first is that we basically start the battery. So we need to get the aircraft up and running. So the first thing we do is that we see here's the battery switch. We bring it down. Oops. And then we use the zoom. This is a bit weird, but you should lock it so that the battery switch, oops, shows horizontal, which means that it cannot be easily turned off again. Okay, because battery shouldn't be turned off, especially not in this state. Now the other thing you can do is if you go up here, first of all you have an audio panel here, and one of the things you can do is that you see the intercom, you turn this and you press this. So if you put this on, and then what you can do is you can call the outside the ground staff by clicking here on the Mac call, and and then you can tell it to connect the ground power unit. It should have come up with a Mac call, I thought.
Connect the GPU, please. Stand by. GPU connected.
So, oh yeah, by the way, let's make sure that we have the park brake set. Maybe that was the reason why it didn't come. Let's see if that's now coming. No, it's not. Doesn't matter. All right, let's go down here and
autopilot.
Bring these two. So, I hope it's not too loud for you guys. I think when I look at the OBS, yeah, I think it's okay. So, I have it here in my earplugs and it is quite loud for me. Oops. So, we got the ground power unit connected and we got electric power. Just to show you something here, I found a really fantastic document. It's called the P3D Leonardo MD82 guide, and I'm going to find the link for it again. I'm going to put it in the description. And someone has written a 155-page documentary with lots of pictures. And what they do here is he guides you in this part 3. First, he shows you the whole cockpit and every switch, everything. And then here, this is the procedure to start it up. And because I failed a little bit on my first attempt, I'm going to use this a little bit as a guide in order to help me get through here. Yeah, as you can see here, he's now describing how we set up the FMC. That I can do on my own, but later on I'm going to use some of these pages in order to help me not make mistakes. So let's quickly go through here. By the way, there are no IRS or INS or whatever you want to call it switches, because this MD82, the way Leonardo has done it, does not have we should have really seen also the, the cabin crew should have come up. So what we can do here is, now that we have power, we could actually open doors and also the stairs. And we're going to have a look outside, so you can see now that the back door is open, the cargo doors are open. The only thing that hasn't opened yet, and for that, let me try that again. There we go. And this way we have all the doors, which is good. So yeah, as I say, I thought, or maybe I was at the wrong. Could be that I needed to do it here. Okay, now let's try that again. I thought I was supposed to get... well, it's not that important. Okay, let's, so the doors are open. By the way, the windows, this is one of the aircrafts where you can open the windows and let some fresh air in on a nice day like this. We're going to start the APU a little bit later. I don't want to waste kind of energy unnecessarily. Well, what we can do is we can already put up the passenger lights, we arm the emergency lights, and yeah, so that's it. Okay, yeah, I think that's it for the moment, and next thing we do is that we call up the FMC. So it's an MD82. It's an MD82. ARAC is still an old one. I have to check if there is Navigraph support for this. I haven't yet installed it, but I need to do that, obviously. So we're running on a slightly outdated ARAC here, which is the one that comes with the aircraft. So that's fine. Position in it. And reference airport is Echo Delta Lima Victor. The gate is 1. I don't know if it actually, no, it doesn't know that. Okay. So we're going to take the GPS position, which is this here. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Okay, so we're going to take this here and we'll put it here. And that has the aircraft aligned. And that means we can continue to the route. Echo Delta Lima Victor. We're going to fly back to the same airport. We're going to take off from runway 27. And we're going to fly via Sonep. Just for a change, I'm actually entering the first waypoint. Not via. That was wrong. That was a mistake. Okay, so let's put it here. Sonep. And we're going to go to the departure route to runway 27, Zone 3 Sierra. And because we can, we'll go here, ILS 27, it's SOP to 1 whiskey, and now let's get to the route. And you can see already how it has entered certain aspects of the route. Let's go to the legs page because we need to clean up a little bit as usual. So SOP 2 to fill this gap. We're going to put remat here, close this gap. And the other thing we're going to do is at remat we're going to be at 2600, as we know, otherwise we would be too high for the ILS. Okay, and I'm going to activate this, execute. That's principally very similar to Boeing FMCs here, so far it isn't that much different. Now the cruising altitude will be 5000. And here we need to now get to some we need to do some things. So first of all, I think it's Shift 7. Yeah, Shift 7 gives you the load sheet. Okay, so that means that the zero fuel weight, I can take it from here, which is 48.6. And the fuel we have on board is 6 tons, or it should be 6 tons. Let's quickly check this. No, it's not, because we haven't yet loaded the plane. Let's see. I think I triggered the test, so I have to be careful here. Also, the zoom with the mouse wheel can cause a lot of havoc if you're not careful. Let's go away from these. Add-ons, Maddog, reload configuration. Now, I forgot to do that because the configuration isn't in the aircraft. So we have now 54,600. Yeah, it's roughly okay. Yeah, okay. 48.6, but remains. And the fuel now is indeed 6 tons, and then you get this error. I forgot about that. You need to say 6 slash, and then I'm not sure what A and N stand for. I use A for, I don't know, manual. N. Yeah, I have to read it. I have to read it in the manual. Let's see. I'm not quite sure what that is for, but you need to enter it, otherwise you get a problem. So cruise winds and stuff, you could fill this in, but it's not necessary for what we are doing. So here's the max takeoff. What other information is there? So the passengers, all the weights, trip fuel, landing weight will be about 53 tons. Maximum is 58. Yeah, so quite a nice feature here to get your whole stuff. Here's the center of gravity, 35. Set zero fuel base center of gravity limits related to blah blah. Forward 35, aft 66, 60.6. Okay, yeah. Let's close that. Let's go to takeoff. Now, there is one thing in the example that they have here. They do not provide, or they're not actually using a flex temperature. Okay, so what they're doing is the kind of you can change the flex temperature, but somehow I didn't see a description of how you use a flex temperature or how you calculate it. So for the sake of this try and fly, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to do it basically the way that they propose here. And one of the things you do get with this aircraft, oh no, that's not what I wanted. Go away. I wanted this here, Shift 5. This is your takeoff, and if you click again, your landing data. So we need the takeoff data. So airport is EDLV, runway 27, OAT is 15 degrees, QNH is 1013. We have standard atmosphere today. And you see the actual takeoff weight is about 54. Well, it's a bit more, but it's the class is 54 tons. And from this class of weight, it calculates then that we should use flaps 15, and that we have a V1 on a dry runway of 121, and you can enter this right here, 127 and 135. Okay, and that basically finishes our setup here. Right. Now, the other thing we need to do is, if we go down here, while we have this card open, what we do here is we use the CG value, and the CG value, let me quickly check again what he said there, where this comes from. See this here, 35D. So it says 35D. Set CG position to the value previously determined in the load manager, 13% of mean by scrolling mouse wheel on CG wheel. So, so basically we need to look again, I guess in the load sheet or in the load manager. Do I need the load manager for that? Let me see, I'm going to open it again. That is still something I'm a bit confused about. So it actually gives us, I guess that's this here, right? I'm guessing. I don't know. So looks like the takeoff weight CG is 10.0. So let's use this as a value. Okay. And it is already a 10. And it already has pre-dialed the flaps. You can change it. And that is a long trim of 0.8. And basically what you do is you bring this down to the position that the long trim is showing you. Oh. Now okay, yeah. I'm still a little bit okay. You have to click on it and then it sticks in the position and then okay. So yeah, and it seems to put these values in here on its own, well, which is okay. Right, in order to see something in the displays, you need to actually lighten them up by clicking here on the knobs. By the way, they are also 2D, so you can bring them up. And if we would have active sky running, which I don't, then we also would have a weather radar, and the intensity of that would be this black little knob. And now we come to my problem, and it seems that Lua and Linda is doing this somehow. You see here there is no light. So in order to fix this, I'm going to set the aircraft now ready to start, which will set a few things. Okay. Amongst other things, it has already started the APU, and we have disconnected the external power. So normally what I would have done is I would have pressed here to start the APU, and then eventually I would have also turned on the start pump and then turned on the air conditioning or the air of the APU. And the supply is currently in the off position. Okay, so that's ready for start. Normally you would actually have this on, but prior to start you would turn it off so that you get enough of the pneumatic air to get your engine started. Right, so I don't think you need to do this if you do not run with Linda and stuff and VRInsight hardware, but I found out that I needed to do this because I had a lot of issues. They didn't show me anything here, and the autopilot simply didn't work. I had some real trouble with it. Okay, that's, by the way, the fire test. Okay, so the other thing we do is we could now derate. We could derate our takeoff. Okay, could go to takeoff flex, for the sake of because I'm not sure how I'm going to handle this, and especially what it changes with regards to the V speeds. I'm going to leave it like this for a moment because I'm not sure if it actually changes the V speeds. I mean, we could give it a try. Let me see if I... And for that, by the way, we need to call up this and go to... oh no, what have I done? Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, yeah. Okay. Have we lost our route as well? We have lost our route as well. Oh, blimey, forgot about that, yeah. Okie dokie. So here we go again. Yeah, I knew there was something. I should have done this right at the start instead of doing it later. So that would make it a bit awkward. But yeah, I'm going to quickly enter it. It's quickly done. I'm so used to this route that it doesn't take long to get it entered in almost any aircraft. And this one is quite easy. Activate, execute, and back to the route. Okay, performance in it. So we need to go through all this again. And we also need to set the fuel /A. Zero fuel weight is 48.6. Reserves 2. Alright, take off. And interestingly, now we have an EPA value, and I have a feeling that that has to do with something is missing. So I don't seem to be able to get to the same point with the cold and dark for whatever reason. This way it is working, and now I can enter again the meanwhile changed values: 129, 135, and 144. Okay, what we could do is we could switch to flex mode. If we do that, then you can see that the EPA flex has changed. So in the full takeoff mode, it would actually use EPA 194. In the flex mode, I am actually not sure what it's going to use, but it is depending on this flex value. And if you turn this knob, it will eventually change. Okay. Now the only thing is, it doesn't seem to change the V speeds, and I'm not sure if the two are aware of each other. And that's why I'm going back to the takeoff mode, and we're going to take off with this probably a relatively high EPA value. Okay, just so that we have the route without big issues here. Right. So that's it. Yeah, let's continue now. So I'm going to go here again and move now to the TCAS, where there's a lot of tests that you can do, as you can see here. Let me do this a bit bigger. So you can run through these tests. You can do a lot of stuff. Okay. Here's with the APU. So here it describes. So this is it's a fantastic piece of work here. The APU has how you started, and then comes the engine startup, and basically what they say is switch to one of the ignitions, turn the start pump off, have the heater off, turn on the fuel pumps, in this case only the left and the right ones, the center doesn't have any fuel, and then you basically you need to have your throttle levers down, and you watch for the temperature. What was that for? For winter conditions, so we don't have that. And then basically you open the guard here, you push this switch down, and then you wait that the start valve opens and the engine starts coming up. In and about 20, you're going to open the fuel, and then you're waiting that the whole thing stabilizes, and then you do the same thing. You bring this back up and the guard up, and then you do the same thing for the other engine, and when we're done, we basically have two running engines, which is fine, and then we go through the after start items, basically. So we're going to do that now, and almost, yeah. So on. So we're going to put this on sys. This is off. We have the APU, and we're going to turn off hydraulic the air here, so that we get everything for the startup. And the other thing we need to do is to make sure that we have the beacon on, which is over here. So this is the position strobe, anti-collision. Actually, this needs to be position light. Anti-collision is on. Okay, that's fine. And now the other thing we can do, if we go to Shift 6, is but yeah, we haven't got that one yet. So go here to the intercall, get that set up, right, and then call for pushback. And what we do now is, so let me see, how did that work? So you pull this, and you can also determine right. So I'm guessing, I don't know, is it good question. Is it about that here? We shall see. It looks okay. 81 meters. Maybe it's too far.
We're ready to push. Okay, verify brakes released. Brakes released, cleared to push. Here we go.
Okay.
Your tail is cleared. You can start engines at your discretion.
So I'm bringing this down, and then we watch if the engine starts. Yes, it's starting to increase here. And when we reach about 20, like now, we let the engine come up. In the meantime, I'm going to set up the MCP. That is a sign that the engine generator has come up. I think we are traveling far too far. Ah, well. 5,000. The course is a 272. Yeah, it's probably a little bit too far. And by the way, let's bring this back up again. Close, open. It's coming up. It's good. And the speed, we're going to... Oh. What is it doing? Okay, so I'm going to... Oh. Do you come down? I'm trying to do many things at the same time. That's not a good idea. So how does it look? Actually not too bad. Or, oh god, where are we? And we've forgotten another slightly important thing. Like close all these doors and bring the stairs in. I guess 40 meters or so would have been plenty. Yeah, not too bad. Where was I? Speed. Yes, I wanted to see what our index takeoff. So V2 is 144. Yeah, that's a bit of a problem here with the zoom. So if I go to another view that doesn't have the zoom, I can do it. So I'm going to put this on 144. I'm not sure why the auto throttle is...
Set brakes.
So let's see why that is. Ah, there's a problem here with my hardware, it seems. Oh, don't tell me. We are already...
Set. Okay, sir. Push complete. Bypass pin removed. Stand by for a visual on the left side.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
we'll
auto
look for the
throttle
streamer on the
switch
left.
was
You're
actually
clear to
on.
disconnect.
So I'm turning on the...
Roger.
Yeah, bye-bye. Flight director is on as well, 5000, so shouldn't do too many things at the same time. It's not a good idea, as we can see. So I'm setting nav1 to 110.7, which is our ILS, and I'm going to set nav2 on 115.5. That's the DME Niederrad, so that we get some DME readout here. Should be seeing this here. Yep, there it is. By the way, if you click here, you get your V-speeds. Takes it from the FMC. V1, V-rotate, V2. Okay, that's fine. No, hang on. This is V2. This is probably V rotation or 123. Yeah, so V1 isn't shown here, and that's probably slant retraction or flap retraction or something. I'm not sure what that one is. Okay. So, let's have a quick look at our guide here and see. So now the hydraulic pumps, we need to turn them on to low and put them into the off position. The way it looks. Okay, so hydraulic, and then also the air supply, we have to turn it on again, and we need to put on the window heat. Okay, so let's do all that. Okay, so I think the start pump should have been on. Forgot to do that. And so we're going to put the windshield on. We're going to turn this on. We're going to disconnect the APU, and we're also going to stop it, run it down. Then we're going to put on the air for the air conditioning. And what else do we have? We're going to close the door, and we're going to check that as you can see, there's now nothing here, okay, apart from the parking brake, which is a good sign. I have set up the MCP as far as possible, so that's looking good. Now let's have a quick look. I think I've covered everything almost. Oh no, they're right. They should be off here, okay. And start pump is off. Oh yeah, and we need to put this into the off position. Yeah, so that's looking good. And the complete pre-flight is emergency. We've done that. It's a bit like a checklist here, just very optical. Then we're going to put the floodlights, 53. We're going to put them on, and then bring down the position to the strobe position for the pre-flight. Anti-skid, we need to check that again, and logo lights we don't need. Yaw damper, we need to turn them on. Okay, so let's do that. So the anti-skid has to go to the arm position, that's where it is. Then we have to bring in the yaw damper, it's in the on position, that's okay. What else was there? The logo lights we don't need. It's daylight, so it's not required. We've done all this here, and we're going to check. Yeah, so let me see. No, we said we do full takeoff, so we don't use the flex, and the auto throttle it's in the arm position. That's number 56. It's called the automatic reserve thrust, or off if using flex takeoff power, auto if using full takeoff power. Okay, so that's in the auto position, and continue here. So there is some tests that you can do for an auto land if you have an ILS tuned in. We're not going to do this today. Okay, but it is possible, and you can do that yourself by pressing on the auto land button. So we need to bring the flaps. So we need to bring the flaps down. 1, 2, 3. And we need to actually dial a flap. And in order to do that, you turn this wheel and you bring it to 15. Okay. And you check that this light is in the takeoff position. You see their example was on 11, mine is on 15, so you dial in the respective flap. And that's the pushback. We have done that already. What else do we need to do? Anti-skid is armed, yeah, okay. So it's doing that here. And that's for the taxiing. Yep, I think we are fine. So let's put this out of the way a bit. Right. Looks like I'm pretty much set up. And we are kind of ready. We're doing the test quickly. This is the transponder
TCAS
and
system
TCAS test.
Okay.
Alright, sounds good. And that means we can... Wait, hang on. Where did... Oh yeah, you know what? This was completely changed when I reloaded the situation. Yeah. It's not perfect, but at least you see everything is here, and I didn't have that when I did my own setup from cold and dark. I still have to find out why that is. I can't tell you why that is, but so why is this red? This DZAC. This disagree. So there is some disagreement here. I suppose we have now somehow let's see. Put this in. Aha. Maybe that wasn't quite on 15. So the disagreement is gone. It says takeoff here, and that's what it should be, I think. Okie dokie. So finally, I think we can start by turning on the nose lights and releasing the parking brake. Okay. And off we go. So I give a little bit of power until it starts rolling, and then you can let go. And it would continue to taxi. I think it can keep the speed with the normal engine power, if I remember correctly. So far it's looking quite good. The only thing I really need to find out is why I did get the problems I got the first time round. But using this approach to use the situation before start situation, then continuing from there, seems to have resolved it. I just have to make sure that I don't restart anything, because then I might end up with the same issue. Yeah, I'm on idle power and it's happily traveling along here. Yeah, and this is really, this is a fantastic, fantastic work. So I have to really say, I'm really impressed. Very, very, very helpful. Yeah. By the way, if we would have rain, you would actually see some rain effects on the screen. They're built in. So we have to arm both here, the rejected takeoff and the. So we're going to put this. Oh yeah, we need to turn these off as well. We arm this and we arm also the speed brake, and we also watch out that we don't go off the taxiway. All right, and for takeoff then, I'll quickly show you. For takeoff, we're going to turn on the, first we press this button here to bring us into takeoff mode, and then we activate, where we push the levers forward to about 1.4 or so, and then we activate the auto throttle, and that actually makes the levers go forward, and hopefully it'll go to do it right, because I had some issues. It was going into some kind of clamp mode, and that was didn't really work for me, that clamp mode, because we were accelerating, because it didn't actually move the levers. This clamp position is because it thinks that you have interfered, I think, so it didn't want to move the throttle levers, which ended up with me being too slow or too fast, going into overspeed and all that. Okay, so the other thing we do now is we're going to turn on the lights, and we're also going to put the transponder into TA or RA or whatever that's called here, and yeah. So what else? Yeah, that was it. We're going to press this button, which should, in theory, so I'm going to activate EPA limit. Now this is now where I'm not sure, but I'm hoping that's going to work out. All right. So let's quickly check. Parking brake is on. Have I done everything? I hope I have. Quickly check. Yep. Okay, number 13. As you speed up to 60 knots, the FMA will display clamp, which means that the electrical servo motor of the auto throttle system is unpowered and will not move the throttle anymore, allowing you to move it need be. That means once it's in the position, you shouldn't move it, because it will release it in the position it is right now, which should be the takeoff power position. Don't move it at that point, because that's for the idea if you want to reject your takeoff, then you can pull it down. Okay, so that's what this clamp position is, and for some reason the clamp position didn't go away. So I had a continuous clamp for the rest of the flight. At 400 feet, arm nav, navigation autopilot mode, set ERT, automatic reserve thrust to auto. It's there anyway. And arm VNAV, vertical navigation, autopilot mode. Make sure you are following the flight director lines before engaging the autopilot. Okay, so let's get the show on the road then. So I'm releasing the parking brake. I'm going to move the throttle levers to about 1.4. Then I'm turning on the auto throttle. And now you can see that it does clump something. We are at V1 rotate. Positive brake, gear up. So I'm going to turn on nav. And I'm going to turn on VNAV. And we're now on FMS speeds. I'm going to follow, and once we are nicely on the flight director, I'm going to turn on the autopilot. Oh yeah, and maybe we should. You can nicely see now how we are following the curve. Now bring the flaps up one notch. And bring the flaps up completely. So this is quite loud now in my ear. I hope it's not as loud in your case. Let's quickly check. It is quite loud. So I'm doing it a little bit less in the hope that it's not too bad. So we've reached 250. Everything seems to be fine. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. The that you hear is the trim. I'm going to follow with the heading here. Very nice. I'm really glad. So let's quickly check. The flaps are up. Can bring this back up into the off position. You can bring this out, and I'm going to turn this off. And we're on 5,000. Yeah, this didn't work at all in my first attempt. So loading a situation which is not cold and dark solves the problem. So that's quite good. Right. Let's quickly check what it says here while the aircraft is doing it. So yeah, we've done all that. Takeoff. Yeah, very nice. Then we're climbing. During the climb, we can then until we turn off the. Oh, have we actually done the? I don't think we have done the. We haven't checked at least the hydraulics, but they are in the right position. So they are. I think we can put them on low now. Yeah, the rest is okay because the situation has set all the switches for me. Okay, so we've done that. We've turned off that. We leave the lights on, and that's looking good. Here we can change the heading. Always make sure that the selected heading line is lined up with the pink line. We've just done that. Heading synchronized, sort of. There's the climb, and you can actually see what altitude it's looking for. In that case, it has actually reached 5,000. That's why there's no indication here anymore. So that's fine. And while we are still moving along here, now one thing you will realize if I zoom this in, this is not going to go to Sonet. This is one of these aircraft that will turn even earlier than indicated here. Okay. So that's one of these things that you need to know. So I know now, although I'm not happy about this. So this is the climb. Yeah, that's fine. Then the cruise. When we are on the altitude, and we need to then switch to cruise mode, and we are actually now, so let's put this into cruise mode. At the moment the FMS is actually doing this for us, and the auto throttle mode will switch from FMS EPER to FMS speed if it wants an airspeed. So we are on FMS speed actually, not on EPER anymore. It's good. And when we reach the top of descent, which we will reach after we've turned here, okay, then we come to the, and here's now a bit about the FGS, flight guidance system. It is basically, it's similar to what you know from other aircraft, but there are sometimes some specialities. I'm not going to go into all this, there are all these modes, so I'm just going to help you with finding out how to do things. The speed mode, for example, didn't work for me at all, but now that it seems to be fixed, I'm hoping that it will be okay. This is the automatic thrust. What is clamp mode? I explained that already. Then here all these indications, all that is great. Planning the approach and star, we don't need to do that. And so for the descent, we're going to set the decision height, and we are setting up the flap schedule, and we also need to, and you can see it has already turned. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go here, index, approach. We're going to pick flaps 40, which means 124 knots, which means if we go to the landing data, we have a go around speed of 144, drift, Vman with the reference speed. So with flaps 40 is 128. Okay. So that's the only thing. It has turned prematurely, a little bit too early, and that means we're doesn't want to change the heading. The only thing with the mouse wheel that doesn't really work very well. So we're almost at the top of descent. I'm not sure why it says LMD, but I'm going to now reduce the altitude, and we are actually on the vertical path, and I'm going to put it on 2600. A little bit fast now, so I'm hoping for it to reduce the speed. It does. Now let's see here. Last page. So basically at VMAT it wants to be at 170, which sounds like a good speed. I've already set up all the navigation aids, which is also good. And again, we need to activate the auto brake. I don't think I need to arm this one. Okay, so that's working out fine. It's descending. We have a descent indicator, so you know by where roughly we will be at 2,600, which is nice. That's looking like that. I'm quite happy with that. Fuel-wise, we're still fine. And expecting it to reduce the speed soon, I hope. It says no auto land. I really need to get the speed down. So how do I get the speed down now? Ah, it says 170, so it's now reducing. Alright. I'm not sure what that LND is. But it's looking good, so I'm going to arm the ILS. We're not going to do an auto land, we're going to do an ILS landing. It can do auto land, by the way, but I want to try and do it myself.
Landing here. Landing here. Landing here.
What's that?
Landing here.
I'll bring up first the flap.
Landing here. 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 Landing here.
By the way, we can get our landing speed set up. And I think we are on localizer and on glide slope captured. My hardware is giving me a bit of trouble here. Okay,
Landing
go
here.
down.
Landing here.
Yeah,
Landing here.
and we're in the landing
Landing here.
configuration. You see this here? So we need to bring down the speed. I'm going to take over everything myself. Autopilot disconnect. So we need to slow down. We're a little bit on the fast side. But you might need the speed brake.
Brake.
Yeah. A little bit on the fast.
Speed brake. Speed brake.
1,000. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
Okay.
Light slow.
We're slightly under.
Light
Just
slow.
a bit of an
Light slow.
exaggeration.
Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
Pretty much on the
Light
right slope,
slow.
but
Light slow.
again.
Light slow.
But this way I have
Light
shed
slow.
some speed.
Light
We're
slow.
still a little bit fast.
Light slow. Light slow.
Uh-oh.
Light slow. Light slow.
Whoa, whoa,
Light
whoa, whoa.
slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
Yes, it's
Light
okay, it's
slow.
okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Light slow. 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 Light
Okay,
slow.
now we are at our
Light
speed.
slow. Light slow. Light slow.
I have my external
Light slow.
ADI here so I can see.
Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow. Light slow.
Yeah, and it
Light
will
slow.
bug us with this
Light
glide
slow.
slope message now down to
Light
the
slow.
ground.
Light slow.
It's one of these
Light
aircraft.
slow.
So
Light
we are a little bit high again,
Light slow.
300.
I think. So we need to take care now that we don't.
100.
So 100. And
50. 40. 30.
30,
20.
20, 10.
10.
And so 80 knots and manual braking. that actually worked out very well, and I'm so glad, because I was in doubt if I have bought a good plane due to all the issues I had, but now I find out that they can all be resolved by just loading the other state and working yourself from there. I'm really, really glad about that. So let's have a quick look. I know that prepared isn't as good when it comes to this kind of replay, but let's check. Whoop. Let's find a nice position. Maybe I would do it like this. Let's do it like that, and then we can watch it. Oh yeah, like it. Nice one. Okay. Yep. Am I glad? Because this is a really, really nice aircraft, and I'm really, really glad that it works actually. Okay. So that's it. Try and fly for the Leonardo Maddog, the version for the 64-bit prepared version 4. Kind of an old companion that has come back, has been modernized, and oh yeah. And yeah, I like these old aircraft, and I also like clock shops. So this is a mix of modern displays and old gauges, but I kind of always like the older types of aircraft, not the fully automated, like I mean the 787. The 787 is great and all, but it's a lot of displays and stuff. I prefer the older ones, so this is definitely one of them. Aircraft I like, and yep, it's not cheap. I forgot what it was, but it was not cheap. But I think you do get a lot of good aircraft, and the forum, the support forum, I've been through it. That looks good. You get a lot of documentation, and also this thing. I'm going to put the link in. Yeah, this fantastic piece of work by someone I think who's called Chuck. I'm not sure who that is actually, but Chuck, thank you very much for this. Okay. Really, that helped me actually a lot, and not only for the Leonardo, but it also helped me a little bit with the Rotate MD80, because the procedure can also be used for the Rotate, most parts of it at least, and so it's really a fantastic way of leading you through how to do a flight with this slightly complex aircraft. Okay, so there you go. Right. I hope you enjoyed that one. Hope it will help you. And so until next time.